Good morning, everyone. My name's Chuck Shields. I'm with the board. I have a couple of announcements before we get rolling with the service this morning. Members of the FirstU board and negotiating team will hold a session at 2 p.m. next Wednesday, that's August 14th, in the Founders Room at Unitarian House. This will provide an update about the campus redevelopment project, and we'll hope to answer questions, and we'll certainly listen to concerns. While this session is intended to focus on residents of Unitarian House and their concerns, the session is open to all those connected with the campus, including residents and future residents of Unitarian House, those connected with River Parkway Preschool or Hanashima, and members of the FirstU congregation. FirstU would like to thank Unitarian House for hosting the gathering. Those attending who are not residents of Unitarian House are asked to sign in at the Unitarian House at the main reception, where they will be directed to the Founders Room. A broader town hall meeting is planned for Worship Hall in mid-September. Again, the session will take place this coming Wednesday, August 14th, 2 p.m. in the Founders Room at Unitarian House. FirstU is going to co-own a 16-story apartment building on our campus, and we're committed to ensuring that there are funds to subsidize some units to a deeply affordable level for low-income individuals and families. Join Lisa Sharp and the Justice Equality Action Group in the Housing Affordability Circle to create a concrete action plan for making this a reality. If you'd like to help, please contact Lisa at lisasharp@rogers.com. And Lisa is here. She can maybe wave her hand here if anybody wants to talk to her after service today. Thank you very much, and over to our MCs.
Oh, such silence. Wow. Usually I have to shout to get people to listen. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the First Unitarian Congregation of Ottawa. My name is Susan, and I'm pleased to serve as worship associate this morning. Today, I am happy to be joined by Lee Rose, a member of our congregation, along with the house band, and each of you, whether you are here in Worship Hall or watching from wherever you may be, as we come together this morning in the shared ritual of our Sunday service. Welcome.
As we begin, let us take a moment to acknowledge that our FirstU campus is located on traditional, unsurrendered, and unceded Algonquin Anishinaabe territory, and that the work of reconciliation is a responsibility of our congregation and of all Canadians. Our goal is to educate ourselves and all those who have the willingness to understand, to be of service to those who are at risk, and to advocate for justice.
If you are new to FirstU and would like to learn, would like to learn more about us, please contact us through our email at where's my water? welcome@firstunitarianottawa.ca. And if you are right here in Worship Hall with us this morning, and would like more information about FirstU, it is available from, I'm not sure who. I don't see anybody at the welcome table. Oh, Brent is at the, welcome, Brent. He'll be at the back of the pews after the service. This morning, each of us is welcome. We of any heritage or faith, whatever our burdens, of any culture or race, of any gender or orientation in any body, all that we are. Today, we are all a part of this spiritual community. Now, let us begin by joining our voices in song. Please rise in body or in spirit as the house band leads us in our opening song, Simple Gifts. The lyrics will be on the screen above.
Good morning, everybody.
Get out of the...
I'm Mariella, and I wanted to introduce this song briefly. Some of you may not have heard of the Shakers. This is a lovely song written by the Shakers, who were a fundamental Christian Protestant movement that started in the 17th century in the U.S. One of the interesting things about them was they were really striving for purity. They thought the second coming of Christ was about to happen, so they believed that purity meant being celibate. So unsurprisingly, over the centuries, they kind of died out. However, one of the lovely, you may have heard of Shaker furniture, they believed in simple lines, but one of the interesting things they did, perhaps to channel their sexual tension, I don't know, they believed in turning. So turning their bodies when they sang. So there'll be a part of the song that talks about turning, and we invite you to turn as you feel moved to, as many of us will do ourselves. 'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and the world. Tis the gift to be knowing, tis the best gift of all, like a warm spring rain, bringing beauty when it falls. And when we use this gift, we may come to believe, tis better to give than it is to receive. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we will not be ashamed. To turn, will be our delight, till by turning, we come round right. Till by turning, we come round right.
We light our chalice flame this morning to words adapted from Elizabeth Mount. Come into this place, bringing all you hold with you, though your heart be heavily burdened, whether you be on the brink of tears or burn with unquenchable rage. This community can hold you and your strongest emotions. Yes, even the messy ones are welcome here. Come in if you sing just a bit too loud, if you hold still as statues and just breathe it in. If you sway to the music moving your soul, you are welcome. Come in and say amen when the Spirit moves you, or close your eyes and quietly let your mind float free on the blessed words. Come into this place with every piece of yourself gathered up, and let us be the church incarnate. Let us bring forth the Spirit of all that we love by the words of our mouths and the doing of our hands, as we make sacred this time together. Someone turn around. Our chalice is lit. Come, let us be together.
Chalice, chalice burning bright, help remind us with your light of how we like to live each day with love and truth, helping lead the way.
Each week we pause in our time together in recognition of both the joy and sorrow in our lives and across the globe. We honor our celebrations and challenges by placing a stone in a bowl of water. As the ripples extend outward, we can imagine them continuing out beyond the small bowls, out through and past our pews, and into the larger community of all. Susan, can I ask you to help me with a few stones? First, a stone of sorrow for Joan Crichton and family, who are mourning the loss of Eric, a beloved son, husband, father, and brother. A stone of sorrow for Claire and Jen Brennan, as they mourn and remember Claire's brother who passed away before the weekend. A stone of joy for all the August blooms in the gardens, including canna lilies, black-eyed Susans, and all manner of echinacea. Please come forward now to honor your own joys and sorrows. The final stone we placed was there for all of the unexpressed joys and sorrows that remain in the quiet recesses of our hearts. Caring cards are available at the back of the hall for us to sign for Joan Crichton and her family, as well as for Claire and Jen Brennan. Even if you don't yet know them, this is a way for us to extend our care on behalf of those who gave so much of their hearts to this community. I invite us now into a time of stillness and reflection. After several moments, Mariella from the house band will bring us back together with the gift of music.
This morning's reading, Living the Questions, is adapted from a transcript of an episode of the On Being podcast by Krista Tippett. Today, we are going to see if I get through this reading. Today, we are going to talk about living the questions. This is a way of thinking that becomes a way of seeing and moving through the world, inspired by the German poet Rainer Maria Rilke. And it is anchored in a passage from his letters to a young poet. He wrote, "Be patient towards all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves as if they were locked rooms or books written in a foreign language. Don't search for the answers which could not be given to you now because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then, someday far in the future, you will gradually, without even notice it, live your way into the answer. My love for this teaching and the seriousness with which I take it rests in part on my deep reverence for the gravity and the power of questions in human life. I think that this is undervalued in a culture that is in love with the form of words that is an answer, and the way with words that is an argument. But I also find a question to be a mighty form of words, and I have learned a few things about questions. I have learned that questions elicit answers in their likeness, that answers rise or fall to the questions they meet. We've all seen this. We've all experienced it. It's very hard to respond to a combative question with anything but a combative answer. It's almost impossible to transcend a simplistic question with anything but a simplistic answer. But the opposite is also true. It's hard to resist a generous question. This is a skill that needs relearning, but I believe that we all have it in us to ask questions that invite, that draw forth searching in dignity and revelation. There is something redemptive and life-giving about asking a better question. And it is a deep truth in science and also in each of our lives that we are shaped as much by the quality of the questions we're asking at any given point as by the answers we have in us to give. So the invitation here is to engage the adventure of a new curiosity and reverence for the questions that are alive in you, the questions alive in the world that you feel drawn to. We are very fluent in blunt, materialistic, capitalist questions. What? How soon? How much? What I hope that we can learn to do is add questions of moral imagination to that mix. Questions like, why? And to what human effect? And how much is enough? I have also taken living the questions as a practical life exercise, a spiritual discipline, and I commend that to you. Formulate a question that is rolling around in your life. Write it down, hone it, and make a commitment to it. Commit to having it over your shoulder, in your ear, as you move through your life. See what it invites you to see, and to move towards and to move away from. I have found that if you are faithful to living a question, that question will be faithful back to you.
Good morning, everyone. Hello. My voice is quiet. I just wanted to remind everyone that the house band is a ad hoc group of people who love singing and playing instruments, and anyone is welcome to join us for any of our performances. And we generally practice the week of. And the next one we're going to be doing is on, I think, September 1st. So if anybody's interested, they can contact Mariella or myself or Guy Pelpersch. The next song we're going to be doing is called Turn, Turn, Turn. I'm sure most of you know it. And this song was written by Pete Seeger. I bet you didn't know that. In 1959, and was made famous by the Byrds and reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in December 1965. The lyrics, except for the title, which is repeated throughout the song, and the final two lines are from the Bible, specifically Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 to 8. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to and a time to every purpose under heaven. La 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 la.
Thank you very much to the members of the house band for that gift of music. It's wonderful to be with all of you on this, it was sunny a minute ago, but on this partially cloudy Sunday in August. This week I find myself stumbling back into my regular routine after a 5-week break. It's the first extended stretch of uninterrupted time away from work, from patterns, from deliverables and expectations that I've taken since the sudden passing of my partner in April of last year. I'm easing back into the ritual of early morning workouts. I'm catching up with my team and community partners at work while digging out of inboxes, overflowing with messages, updates, and invitations that for the most part, thanks to the passage of time and the considerate action of others in my absence, no longer require my immediate attention. I invite anyone who's returning to work after some time away to open their inbox, select all, and hit archive. If it's really important, it's going to come back to you, I promise. What a gift this break, this time has been. 38 days in all to just be. To say yes to and do the things that I wanted, when I wanted or needed, and to let go of the things that didn't matter or that could wait. I traveled to northern Quebec, to the city of Rouyn-Noranda, to lay my partner's ashes to rest and spend time with family. I swam in the lake, watched sunrises and sunsets, tended to the garden in front of the cabin, and spoiled nieces and nephews with too much ice cream from the dépanneur on the road into town. I held a garden party, which happened to fall on my birthday, although that was more an accident of the calendar than a deliberate intention on my part. It was wonderful to host friends, family, and neighbors in the garden again, a place that I love and that means so much to me. I had a massage, saw my physiotherapist, read books, and slept hard. I went to bed early, slept in, took naps, woke up tired from napping, and took more naps. I also spent 10 days in Bogota, accompanying a friend who packed up his life here in Canada and moved to Colombia to teach, the trip taken under the guise of helping him import his 3 cats into the country. I have more to share about my experience in Bogota, but before we travel to South America, I'd like to return to northern Quebec for a moment. Because it was there that the inspiration for this morning's reflection came to me as I sat on the rocks watching the sun rise over the lake, thinking about what I would say later that afternoon at the cemetery as we laid my partner's ashes to rest. Here's a bit of what I shared. It's been over a year since I last saw you, heard the whisper of your voice, or felt your touch against my skin. And while my grief is at times overwhelming, the loss of you is also a beautiful reminder of the gift of life, the accident of being. I am grateful for this gift and for the chance to have shared a part of the accident of my being with you, for the way you danced through life, the glorious highs, the dismal lows, living all the wins and all the losses. While it was short, you lived it fully. Now all of us who love you carry a part of you in our hearts as we aspire to live our lives as fully as did you. What a gift you've given us, my love, both in your living and your dying. A beautiful reminder to be grateful for the gift of life, the accident of being. The accident of being. I've been thinking a lot about the accident of being, and more specifically, the accident of my being since that morning by the lake. And I have so many questions. You could say that I've accepted Krista Tippett's invitation as highlighted in this morning's reading. I've been living the questions and being patient with all that is unsolved in my heart. I'm trying desperately to love the questions and not search for answers. I am living questions about all the choices and decisions made by me and by others, all the history, all the events that had to happen or not happen, and all the conditions that needed to be met for me to exist. A living, breathing, and mostly sentient collection of atoms with agency and awareness, with feeling and emotion, with experience and memory. I am living questions about how much of my being is within my own control, and how much of it is at the whim of chance or the result of choices made by others. I am living so many questions. This framing of my inquiry of the accident of my being is not accidental. It's actually quite intentional. There are many words that could be used to express influences on my being that are beyond my control. Miracles. Those extraordinary events that can't be explained by natural or scientific laws and are often attributed to divine agency. Coincidences, remarkable concurrences of events that happen without apparent causal connection. Those moments of serendipity, when something occurs by chance in a happy or beneficial way. And fate, let us not forget about fate. I use the word accident as an imperfect umbrella for these and all the other influences on my being that are beyond my agency, whether positive or negative, divine or supernatural, intentional or unintentional. And so I invite you to join me, at least for the duration of this reflection, in being agnostic to the nature of this collection of accidents. Let us dispatch the presumption of their inherent positivity or negativity. Let us be intentional in our indifference to the existence or non-existence of the divine. Let us simply accept them for what they are and let them be. The 1998 movie Sliding Doors opens with the main character, Helen Quilly, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, getting fired from her public relations job. As she leaves the office, she drops an earring in the elevator, and a man picks it up for her. She rushes for her train on the London Underground, but misses it as the train doors close. The film then rewinds and the scene replays, except this time she manages to board the train. The movie continues, alternating between two storylines, showing how her life unfolds in different ways based on whether or not she made it onto the train that morning. While I won't comment on the quality of the acting, share my opinion on the triteness of the film's conceit, or spoil the plot for those of you who haven't seen it, I will let you know that the critics over at Rotten Tomatoes have given the movie a score of 65%, and you can pay $4.99 to rent it on Apple TV. What I do want to reflect on is that sliding doors moment, the accident, and remember, we're using my imperfect umbrella definition of accident here, of making or missing the train. How a single decision, choice, or circumstance can have such a significant impact on your life. Here are a few from mine. In 1666, that's right, 1666, a 16-year-old named Noël decided to leave his parish of Saint-Étienne-du-Mont in the 11th arrondissement of Paris and sail to New France, beginning what is now, with me, 13 generations of settled family history in North America. In 1978, my uncle, a military chaplain, took a roughneck from his unit with him when he met up with his sister at a bar in Chilliwack, BC, introducing my father to my mother. Nearly 8 years ago, I swiped right on a cute profile on the dating app that instantly connected me to the man who will always be my great love. Our days and lives are filled with sliding doors moments. But here's the thing about sliding doors moments. In those moments, you don't know you're having a sliding doors moment. It's only later, sometimes much later, and with the benefit or hindrance of hindsight, that you can look back and recognize them as such, whether they are your own or someone else's. Another way to think about these moments is through the lens of chaos theory and what's known as the butterfly effect. First articulated by the mathematician and meteorologist Edward Norton Lorenz, who used a metaphorical example of the characteristics of a tornado, the time of its formation, its intensity, the path it took, all being influenced by minor actions, such as a distant butterfly flapping its wings several weeks before. The idea of the butterfly effect is now often used in other contexts for a situation where a small change, an accident, if you will, is attributed as the cause of much larger consequences. So a little more on butterflies as we make our way to South America. I've had the chance to travel to several big cities around the world in my life, including London, Paris, Zurich, Lisbon, Istanbul, and Johannesburg. I think it's safe to say that there are two kinds of big cities. Ones where drivers of cars and motorcycles both understand and generally follow the same rules of the road, and ones where they do not. As the recent exhilarating and at some moments harrowing experience of taking an Uber Moto proved to me, Bogota is very much that second type of city. Nestled at the foot of the Andes at an elevation of nearly 3,000 meters, with a population of more than 11 million people, it feels like the capital of Colombia is both teeming with life and teetering on the edge of collapse at the same time. The constant traffic, the avocados stacked precariously high on wheeled carts at busy intersections, the plentiful and incredibly beautiful street art, and almost on cue, the perpetual risk of rain. Zipping between the cars and the trucks on the autopiste at high speed on the back of a motorcycle, you get the feeling that it's all being held together simply by surface tension, by the pushing and pulling, the giving and yielding, the agency and accidents shared between the people, the geography, the weather, and the infrastructure of a city literally built in the clouds. Downtown Bogota sits right at the edge of a mountain. From there, the city spreads westward and out along a north-south axis. The apartment I stayed in was in the north end of the city, just across the autopiste and west of a mountain upon which one of several of Bogota's informal settlements, what might be called a shanty town, a favela, or a slum in other parts of the world, sits. Switch to the next one if you like. You can't miss it, both because of its sheer size and its position on the mountain. It's an integral part of the city's skyline, like the CN Tower in Toronto or the Hollywood sign in LA. This is a community built by generations of accidents. The houses, tiendas, schools, and garages are literally piled on top of each other, creeping their way along the mountain. Built without a master plan, a stable electrical grid, or municipal plumbing infrastructure. It's known as La Mariposa because of the way that the buildings and the geography of the mountain come together in the shape of a butterfly. Several years ago, the city of Bogota, community organizations, and residents of the neighborhood came together in an intentional exercise that resulted in this: the painting of more than 25,000 facades into a macro mural in the image of a butterfly. To me, the community of La Mariposa is a beautiful expression of the relationship between the accidents that happen to us and the agency we hold as we move through our lives, whether on the back of an Uber moto, on the wings of a metaphorical butterfly, or by other means of locomotion. On an individual or collective scale, it's the same delicate dance, the same giving and yielding, the same fragile surface tension that holds our being together. And so as I start to pull this morning's reflection to a close, I want to leave you with three things that are sitting with me as I continue to live the questions I hold in my heart and in my head about my being. First, there is no undo button. Thanks to the limitation of our linear journey through time, there is no going back. It's simply not possible. Try and wish as much and as hard as I want. I can't correct, adjust, or change any of the accidents that have already happened to me or the decisions that I have or others have made. So rather than wonder, if only I had done this, I try to remember to ask myself, so what do I do now instead? Second, there is something liberating about letting go, specifically of the things that don't really matter, that I can't affect, or that are beyond my control. Sometimes you don't really know how heavy the burden of what you're holding is until you start to let things go. And finally, despite all the accidents, I do have free will. I can make my own decisions, and I can choose to make things happen on my own. I still have agency. My life has purpose, meaning, and direction. But perhaps most profoundly, I've come to understand that while accidents and agency are both a part of my being is not defined by either of them, but rather by that fragile surface tension, the gossamer connection that exists between them. It's there where I find myself living the questions, where I revel in the moment, where I hold the greatest gratitude for this gift of life, the accident of being. Thank you.
I see I don't have to invite the ushers to start passing the baskets. Okay, this congregation has a long history of care, vitality, and bringing people together to move the arc of justice forward. We have been able to live into our hopes and dreams because of the generosity of those within and beyond this community. Whether you are here in Worship Hall or anywhere else, you are part of this community. To make a gift in support of the work of the congregation, you don't need to use the baskets that are now making their way among our pews. Wherever you are invited to go to our website or contact our finance manager to find out how to make a donation or to keep up with your pledge. Our gifts are freely given and gratefully received. We dedicate these gifts to the work of this community of faith, serving human wholeness, caring for the planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. And now, please rise as you are willing and able to join together in our closing hymn, What a Wonderful World, led by the house band. The lyrics will be on the screen.
Trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days, dark sacred nights. To myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. As I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Before we begin to close this time of worship and reflection, a reminder that coffee hour will begin in Fellowship Hall immediately after the service. If you're new here, still feel new, or simply welcome additional conversation today, please pick up a green mug as you enter Fellowship Hall. Doing so will help others look forward to a good conversation with you. We extinguish our chalice this morning to these words by Carl Seaberg. Between the dawn and dusk of our being, let us be brave and loving. In our little passage through the light, let us sustain and forward the human venture, in gentleness, in service, and in thought. Amen. This morning's chalice is extinguished. However, the spark of our connections and faith remains. Let us join together with the house band in singing our closing song, Spirit of Life. I think that's the first time I've seen kazoo or heard kazoo in a band at church. But well done, Mary. As we prepare now to leave this space, may our hearts remain open and our minds remain clear. We are people of both reason and heart, of memory and hope. May we also always remain people of love, providing a place in this world for our spirit, a place to call home. Happy Sunday to all of you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.